Rishabh.
Hi, Diya.
Did
So
you
good
have
to
a
see
bath? You look like all fresh, and I look greasy. And I've been
you. This is
in between doing lives. Today I did a lovely live with Faridun Shahryar, who's been an old friend and
right.
colleague. And I
In
usually
fact,
try
in
and
fact, you.
pace my day out and
In
not do
fact,
too much
no,
online.
I'm glad you came. But in fact, because you were coming, I made sure that the lights in the room. We have two more extra lights in the room so that I look a little better.
So did
But
you have a bath or not? Other than the
no, no,
light,
no. Of course I did. Yeah. Does it look like I have not had a bath?
you look like you've just freshly come out of your bath.
Ah,
Did you
very
have
good.
a
No,
five?
bus. Then
Did you have a 3-minute bath or did you have a 5-minute bath?
I had a 4-minute bath.
Question.
No, but it's so good to see you, yeah, and I'm so thrilled. So let me do this formally because this is the first part of the show, which is the only thing that is formal, which is the first part of this interaction. After that, we just keep it free flowing. So let me take this minute out to introduce to you. There are two very special people today who are going to join us. One is a person who is an actor, a producer. She is brilliant when it comes. The person is fantastic when it comes to combating climate change. Is a UN environment, a UNEP Goodwill Ambassador. Has done so much for combating climate change. Supports PETA, and we also have Diya Mirza. No. But my sense.
That almost had me confused. I was like, are they two different people?
No, but dear, welcome to Kuch To Karuna. You'll have to bear with 20 minutes of random rubbish. And
Why
a lot of
random
senseless.
rubbish, Rishabh? You guys are so amazing. Your community of young people, the kind of leadership that you've managed to create, the kind of positivity, the kind of work and the difference that you've made is commendable, truly commendable.
This is the only time I won't interrupt you on this interaction. When you praise me, I will not stop you.
Okay.
But
Let me
honestly,
once again. I just need to check whether my phone is on silent or not. Hold on. Otherwise, we'll have like
otherwise we
oh,
have
now
callers
it's
joining in.
silent. And do you want to see this beautiful flower
How sweet,
and
how
blossom?
nice.
Yeah. So this
And
is
in most cases, I would have asked whether is this an artificial flower or is this a real flower? In your case, it has to be a real flower. Has to be. But let me start off with this. The organization has students who are between 16 to 24 who work.
yeah.
The age bracket is 16 to 24. I was going to ask you saying, would you like to intern?
Yes. Why not? Let's.
No, but dear, tell me, coronavirus is something that I saw your last live as well very briefly. I had a chance to see it. You spoke about coronavirus, and everyone's been asking you that $1 million question, saying, "How are you spending your time in quarantine?" In quarantine, as everyone's corrected me, it's not quarantine, it's quarantine. So, how do you spend your day in quarantine?
I think so. There are many ways to look at this. It really depends on what role you're playing in life and what are the commitments that you continue to carry forward even though you're in lockdown and you're at home, being responsible, a good citizen of your country and the planet. And that's really the biggest service that we can provide the nation and the world right now, is staying home.
Oh.
So let's clarify that right at the outset. We are Corona warriors just for staying home because we can.
Go Corona, go? No.
I mean, yes, Corona must go, but
Yes. But not like that.
yeah,
But
I'm
not
not
like
sure
that.
whether sloganeering is going to, and especially gathering in crowds and chanting "Go Corona, go" is going to do it for us. So, on. You are very distracting, Rishabh. Can I get back to what I was saying?
Sorry.
Okay. So, in my realm or sphere of things, there are multiple responsibilities. So, I'm at home with my mother, and we have one wonderful girl called Sumitra, who's our domestic live-in help. And there are chores within the house that we share through the day. So I take responsibility for the work that I have to do, the physical work, ironing clothes, washing dishes, sometimes pitching in to cook. Mom's been cooking a lot actually, which is great because she thinks she's a bad cook while I think she's one of the best cooks ever. And I can cook well too, but I haven't managed to make the time to cook so far. Maybe in the coming days I will. Yoga, meditation, taking care of myself, very important. And then making time for work. So production, meetings, a lot of meetings are happening, creative meetings. There's a lot of creative work happening online. So we do our meetings online or we connect on the phone. There's obviously accounting and financial work happening, which now I'm having to do myself because everything is happening online. And then of course there's writing work happening. As an artist, I have to read scripts. Then of course there is all this information that I have to keep on top of in order to ensure that my advocacy as a UNEP ambassador, Goodwill ambassador, and as a SDG Goals ambassador remains mindful, thoughtful, up to date, updated. I think that's the most important part of it all because the situation is evolving so fast and there are so many layers to this situation of different kinds of people getting affected in different ways, and so there's
Listen, in my case, it's very easy. My case is just going from the living room into the bedroom, and from the
I know
bedroom.
I really envy. No, I don't want to. Like, I just don't want to hear it, and I also don't want to hear. Like, I'm so irritated that I haven't so far got the time to kind of just put my feet up, do a painting or write. I paint, and I love painting, and I haven't painted during this lockdown. But I think it's kind of a reminder that sometimes extraordinary situations demand more of your time and your humanity than when you have the luxury to go out, and this actually, just the comfort of being at home and still being able to do what can be done is a privilege as well, which I'm unwilling to waste.
So I'm also equally willing to waste this privilege, but the only thing is that being in South Bombay, instead of 8 people, now we have 2 people looking after. So,
who do you live with?
So I live with my family. I live with so it's a small apartment, but because there's only as much to do, people try to keep me away from the roles and responsibilities.
Have you started washing your clothes or not? I want to know.
I make my bed.
Oh wow, thanks, Rishabh. You make your bed, but that you should be doing year round.
Of course. So year round, I change my pillow cover. Year round, that is my responsibility. This is now I've gone one step ahead, and now I am also making my bed. But no, but my mom shouldn't be watching this. If she starts watching this, then as soon as this is over, I will be cooking for dinner.
Yeah, I would love to let her know that she must let you cook.
No. We don't want to go through such a hard time. But the last time I went in the kitchen was the last time that it ever happened. But let me.
You might just surprise yourself. So the interesting thing about trying new things is how they might just surprise you.
No, I tried with sushi. And it came back with plain sticky rice, which quite legitimately was difficult to lift.
Yeah, you started with a fine craft cooking exercise, which is like not very easy. So next time, just start with simple peeli dal.
Correct. I will
and chawal and one sabzi. Try.
No, but tell me, I will take the recipe from you for sure. For sure, I will take it before I go. But this brings us, in fact, to the second part of what I wanted to discuss. Saying it's called Tum Bhi Karo Na. So basically, what is it that young people can do sitting at home? Most like me, I would like to believe that most are not like me. But between 13 to 24, this age bracket, what can they sit at home and do? Because Netflix, you can watch only as much, and your brilliant sitcom that you acted in, you can only see as many times. But beyond that, then what is it that young people should do?
I think there are many things that young people can do. So it really has to come naturally. It's very important to respond to situations that are happening around you. It starts with first being responsible and being safe. That itself is, like I said earlier, big achievement. And then if you can post that, stop whining about being bored and not spend all your time looking at the screen.
Now you're becoming like a school teacher.
You may discover that there are many more new things to discover. Reading a book, participating in more chores at home, learning a new skill, a hobby, taking an online course, exercising. I think it's very important to continue to exercise. Interact with nature. Find a way to with staying indoors. Face the sunlight. Give yourself some natural exposure. Uh, and apart from that, I can share what I did. So very early in the lockdown, I discovered that I realized more consciously than ever before that I live in an apartment complex that has 80% senior citizens. And while they're all heroes, truly are, because I haven't met more independent people at that age in my life.
Right.
And
Wow.
yeah, they're incredible. Live on their own, drive themselves to pick up things, participate in social endeavors in their own way, manage their homes, take care of their food and their needs, and then also have like cultivated hobbies and are doing things with their life. And their children live overseas, and their children know their grandchildren, and some of them are great grandparents
Great
also.
grandparents. Right.
So, but with the lockdown, because many of them had part-time domestic help, that
Right.
stopped for them. Like they didn't have part-time domestic help, and four members live alone. And I think one of the first things that we recognized as a co-op was that while we ensure everybody's safety and health, we really need to focus on getting essentials across to them, figuring out what their needs are, and making them as comfortable as possible during this time. So something as basic as I spent
Oh, nice. That's so
five
sweet.
days looking for a mop with a stick, because one of the aunties who's 85, she celebrated her birthday day before yesterday, uh, obviously can't bend and mop. And so it can be something that basic, but find a way to help, keeping in mind your own safety. So sanitize your hands with alcohol or wash your hands for 20 seconds at least whenever whenever you step out. Cover your face with a mask, wear gloves if you can. Avoid going out unless it's absolutely essential. And when you do, so when I do what you call the grocery runs or the essential runs, where I get into my vehicle and I troop to the market, I take lists, or we've kind of coordinated with the committee, and now we've figured out a way within the first 2 days to get a vegetable vendor to the co-op and a fruit vendor to the co-op. So nobody's having to go out or take, because when you're older, people don't really remember things quickly. So lists come staggered. It's a little.
Correct.
I think the one of the things that I've learned in this time is patience, humility, more humility than perhaps ever before, and gratitude for the simplest of things
And the
that we
smallest things.
so take for granted, like our house help and the difference that our domestic help makes in the lives of people, especially the elderly. So, yeah.
No, I think in lives of everyone.
Of course.
Like,
I always acknowledge the women in my life. I always say that without these girls in my life,
it is
I am surrounded by many women who
right.
empower me to do the work. And yes, I do feel physically completely depleted by the end of the day because I'm doing much more than I ever did before. Given
No,
that
but
we're having to
with such an empowering woman in the house leading from the front, I'm pretty sure that everybody else automatically gets empowered. Uh,
oh, we give each other some energy, and once in a while we also have like our moments where we're like wanting to kill each other.
no, but tell me one thing: the mop you bought, correct? The mop you bought for someone in your society. But did you do the mopping?
That would be wrong to do, na Rishabh, because you still have to keep physical distancing. I'm taking you very seriously and answering the
No,
question. But
no,
I bought
Baba,
at home if
you are,
that's what you're looking for. And if you're wondering why I haven't put up any videos of mopping and washing dishes and cleaning windows, I'm like, firstly, there's nobody there to shoot it. Because if I had, matlab, a selfie video is the best I can do in these times. If I hand my phone to my mother and say, Mama, will you please record this? She'll be
take a
like,
video.
but I can't see and I don't know how to do this. Don't confuse. Okay.
No, but
So,
that's
but that aside, I
hmm,
also think, I don't know, I felt like uncomfortable about using my social media platforms at this time to, and
to
I think
show
I've always felt this way, to talk about what I'm up to. I think I tend to share things that connect
people.
um, people. Yeah.
The same. That's exactly the reason why there's not a single video of me washing the dishes
Yeah.
and cleaning the floor, which I do on a regular basis.
Rubbish. Right now, I just want to talk to your mother and ask her whether anything you have
God.
said to me is true or not.
Oh God, I'm gonna lock the room now after this. But tell me, it's the simplest and the smallest things, like you rightly said, that we've learned. Like I quite honestly, up until now, never sat by the ocean and actually listened to the waves. For the first time in the longest time, I think I've heard the water crashing on the shore. And
Defacing apartment.
yes.
You're not going out and sitting on the rocks now, right
No,
now, in a lockdown. Sure.
so
Just check.
100%.
Huh.
100%. Though
Please
my
check.
though my fa- though my family would be very happy if I did that, but 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 quite honestly, these are small little things which people have taken note of. Honestly, when the world goes back to what it was on 15th April, 30th of April, whenever, what's the one thing that you wouldn't want people to change?
The ability to stop and stare,
It's
pause a little bit, and just notice your interaction with nature and the presence of nature. I think what this lockdown has done in many ways is it's given people the opportunity to just stop and understand that you co-inhabit this world with nature and you actually exist because of all these incredible species, this water, this air, this soil, and the fact that there's reduced human activity, there's reduced noise, there's reduced pollution, all of that, and also the time that we're getting to stay home. And because I'm the crazy that walks in the garden every day, right, and is always seeing and witnessing nature. And I guess I've been posting like birds in my window for I don't know how many. But
no,
more people are seeing these things now, and I hope with all my heart that after this time,
right.
people continue to acknowledge their interdependence and their relationship with nature.
So basically, which is that poem? I forget. Is it Wordsworth or is it? I don't know where he says that where you need there is no time to stand and stare.
It's all leisure.
Yes, sir. There. I thought as much that if there is somebody else who would know this, that one
It's
person would
a
be you.
beautiful poem. Let me find it. Wait. I love that poem. It's one of my favorite poems.
Likewise, yeah, likewise. Though I use it more for my captions, less for practicing. But I think in your
Oh,
case, you
that
use it more
poem
for.
that I posted in Faridun's live today, Jeevan Ki Apadhapi by Harivansh Rai Bachchan, always like reminds me also of this poem called
Yes, sir.
Leather.
Correct.
What a beautiful poem it is. It's by W.H. Davies. And
See
I think
there,
I
I.
read this poem for the first time when I was in class 9. 9. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows. No time to see when woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. No time to see in broad daylight, streams full of stars like skies at night. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet how they can dance. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A poor life this, if full of care, we have no time to
Time to
stand.
stand. Fantastic, yeah, fantastic. There are many claps, and I wish I could clap, but the phone is in my hand. And I'm glad you read the poem. You read the poem out. If I would have read the poem out, I'm pretty sure we would have lost half the audience. but
Well,
but
one second, that's you really undermine. You are a very powerful storyteller. You've created a very powerful narrative by connecting so many lives. So I'm pretty sure you do a good job.
thank you, thank
There's
you. This
lots
is
of like love struck emoticons happening here. Yay!
no, this is great. Like I said, the one time I won't interrupt you for sure is when you're praising me. But let me take you to the you were saying something, I'm sorry. Were you
No, no,
saying
go ahead.
something?
I was
No.
looking for another one of my favorite poems.
Just go ahead, no? Go ahead
It's
and
by Rudyard Kipling. I think we need poetry like this right now too.
yeah, and this is the poetry which should stick beyond 15th or beyond 30th of April. This is the poetry that should stick.
So this is a poem that I had written in my diary when I was about 13 years old.
Wow.
And
And
my father had told me that if there is one poem that you should go back to in life again and again and again, it's this one. It will hold you in good stead through all circumstances. And I actually go back to it a lot even now. I've gone back to it as an artist, as an actor, as a citizen who is feeling overwhelmed with whatever is going on in the world. Sometimes I've gone to this poem when I felt like deeply emotionally challenged or compelled by a situation that I felt I have no control over. And it's given me a lot of strength. So I'm going to share this one with you.
how nice. Is it the first time you're reading this poem out?
Yeah, I think it is.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
Insane.
So this is If by Rudyard Kipling. You can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good, not talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build it up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you will be a man.
I am keeping this on the side and that because phenomenal, yaar. This is amazing. Now I know why there is so much of depth in the person that I'm
A
talking
father
about.
gave this to his daughter, huh? So don't get like, so it's not when he says you will be a man, my son, it means that you will be a full human being, a complete human being.
How nice, yeah. How nice. Listen, this is super. And this is no wonder this is where you draw your inspiration from.
Yeah.
It's Kipling, right?
Yes, Rudyard Kipling. Poetry is a great source of information. Stories are. Reading can give a lot of perspective.
Which is the one book that you would recommend every young person should read?
You know, Rishabh, I've had different books inspire me in different ways through life. I read a lot of biographies. I've read a lot of history. I think history can really define your understanding of the world.
If I
And
may.
it's very interesting too, because history is like reading this big blockbuster movie. Because the dynamics of human relationships, the things that are unfolding, the work that is, the narrative that unfolds is just so spellbinding. um, but I think Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Blink, The Other Worlds of Isaac Asimov, Tuesdays with Morrie. I love Tuesdays with Morrie. Uh, there's just so much Indian literature to kind of go into and read and discover. But these are a few that I've really.
Have you read this? Have you read this wonderful book? And at the risk of sounding repetitive, have you read this wonderful book? It's called An Open Mic. It's written by this wonderful young author who talks about an introvert's journey in an extrovert's world.
No, I haven't read that, but I'd
Great.
love to. I'd really love to.
You must.
I was very moved by Shaheen's book, and Shaheen is so young herself, Alia's sister.
No, I was.
You were saying something.
The last thing that I was saying, which was, and I'm like a very dutiful student raising my hand and saying, "Ma'am, I need to speak." In all the other lives, I've been talking with the guest, but in this one, I'm going to be very respectful. But the thing that I was saying and the light-hearted joke that I was cracking is the book that I was talking about is my book, so don't ever read it, because if you manage to read it, then you won't read a book. So, but you were talking about Shaheen.
I ruined your joke, man. Oh my god, my timing sucks.
No, but Bola, you were telling me about Shaheen's book. Tell me, yeah.
Yeah, so because I think mental health right now is a serious concern. A lot of people are feeling anxiety and all kinds of feelings, and I think Shaheen's book gave me a lot of perspective and it's a very brave book. It gave me a lot of perspective on mental health and dealing with anxiety and depression. And I hope more young people will read it. But you know something? There is one. There's a book that I read last year that really like
Change your
rewire. No, it
change your
rewires
perspective.
certain things. Yeah, and it kind of helped me understand myself a little better and to cope with life a little better. It's called The Untethered Soul. Have you heard about it?
No, I'm not. I've not.
Oh, it's
It's a great
outstanding.
book. No,
Yeah,
I've heard a lot about it, but I've not read the book.
it's outstanding. I think
Yeah.
every young person should read An Untethered Soul.
Listen, so we got the answer. An Untethered Soul is the book that Dia recommends that everyone should
For
read.
this year, yeah. For
And
this year.
10% of royalties go to IMUN.
Oh,
No, I am
first
joking,
start
Baba.
my book.
I am joking, Baba. Uh, but no, but let me take you to the last part of what I need to discuss with you. Is before we take a couple of questions, let me just discuss the last thing that I have to with you. It's a 21-day lockdown. So I had 21 questions, but I won't ask you 21 questions. I will ask you in rapid fire a few questions which I want you to answer very honestly. And don't dodge it because you've already become a good, very good ambassador for the United Nations. I think one of the best ambassadors, if not the best. So please don't be like the UN and very diplomatic. No, nobody is watching this apart from all your fans and all Bollywood pages. So there's nothing to feel shy about. So the first question: BJP or the Indian National Congress? Your favorite political party?
Tiger.
Listen, yeah. Okay, a lighter one. How long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
What do you mean by ready?
Ready as in looking like this, Baba. Like looking like this, that after a person who comes back from a shower, a 4-minute shower, when he's yet looking like this after that, and you're yet naturally looking like that. How long does it take you to get ready?
I have a routine, and this is not a rapid fire question. It takes time. I just make sure I wake up 2 hours before I need to do anything so that I get my morning routine out of the way, which starts with something as basic as drinking a liter of water, eating 7 almonds that were soaked in water overnight, um, playing shlokas. I love to listen to shlokas in the morning, doing my yoga, meditation, and then, yeah, the.
Listen, yeah, like you like the like you
Because
follow
it
all
will
you do all the right
help
things.
if the day doesn't start with you, where you get the time to be with yourself and take care of your health, your mind, your body.
So social media is a no-no.
And not at least not for the first 1 hour, 1.5 hours, if possible. I mean, yes,
If
there are
possible.
days when as soon as I wake up, I have to answer certain questions. But ideally, in a ideal situation, I like to not have to touch my phone
Phone.
until 1.5 hours at least after having woken up.
Likewise, I hate touching my phone for the throughout the entire day. But in my case, it's because I'm evading work. In your case, I'm sure it's otherwise. But tell me, which is your which is your favorite sitcom? Which which is your favorite
Friends,
sitcom?
friends.
Friends. Which character in
I can
Friends?
go back to it like all the time. Huh.
Who's your favorite character?
I think it's difficult to choose one, but Phoebe. I love Phoebe.
One thing that you relate most to Phoebe. What is that one thing that you relate most to the character?
That she's actually. I see a lot of myself in her, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen.
Like she's this free bohemian child who's like, who's who just wants to be happy and wants everybody to be happy. And yeah.
Ah. Listen, this is very nice, huh? This is
And I love her eccentricities. Like it's cute. I love her quirks. I like that she's not perfect, and yet she's so
So
perfect.
she's human, but yet like you rightly said. But
I love how real Phoebe is, and how mad she is.
But I don't see the mad element in you. I see the fun element in you, but the mad element is there. Is there a mad element as well? Acha. Acha, okay, so then tell me what is the first thing that you observe when you meet a person? What's the
You'll have
one
to
thing
play
that
a game of like you'll have to play a board game or a sport with me, or spend like an evening where we're like playing dumb charades or something, and you will see my madness.
so is it that
Or
Dia doesn't
or
ever
or
want to
be
lose?
around me at the end of a very long work day and see
Huh.
how nuts I get. I
No.
have my whole team cracking up and saying this one is completely bananas.
And is it because of your is it the sense of humor, or is it just generally that you are
No, I think when you're like excited and you're happy, your brain chemistry goes crazy and endorphins release, and you're like, yes, and that brings out a mad fun side in you. And yeah, I think it's also important to kind of be able to laugh at yourself and make some fun and poke some fun at yourself.
yeah,
I
and
usually that's my madness. I just like I'm usually just cracking up about some
yourself.
nonsense that I have gotten up to. Yeah.
Yeah, like so self-deprecating humor.
Yes.
Ah,
Very
figures.
important.
That's why most of these shows have a lot of self-deprecating humor. But then again, let me ask you the last $1,000,000 question. Basis this, we will give you a hamper which will reach your house. Probably never, but will reach your house.
You
Acha.
know that we are not propagating consumerism. We'll happily do it without the hampers for
Done.
now
Great. So
and for a long time to come.
I will eat all the chocolates that are in that, and because some of them are my favorite, I won't even say no. Uh, but but tell me the $1,000,000 question, and the nation wants to know. The nation really wants to know this. Yeah.
What? What?
Would you choose dishwashing or making your bed as the preferential household chore?
Okay. I have a very mild form of OCD. It could also be my genes, this inheritance of genetics where I'm very, very particular about things being done a certain way.
Listen, are you observing the gap between the curtains?
Yeah, and it's really bothering me because
Is
I'd
it?
rather have the curtains open. Given that you have a sea facing apartment, I'd like to see what the view is from there. But let's get back
Bas.
on your question.
बस हाँ बोलो हाँ sorry हाँ tell me हाँ I had to do this हाँ बस बोलो
I'd rather make the bed because I don't want the wrinkles or the folds to be any other way than the way they're supposed to be.
oh my god so there's a little bit of Monica in Phoebe.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of Monica in Phoebe for sure.
yeah, yeah.
But
Full
on
play.
that
I'm like a mix of Monica, Rachel, and Phoebe, but I would in my head like to be Phoebe.
ah no I'm
You
pretty
wanna
sure
ask me
you're
those questions? Or are you going to, oh, who is your favorite co-star? Mukherjee Arpan is asking. I don't have one favorite. I have many favorites, but I think if I had to choose amongst all the amazing people I've worked with, it would be my first two co-actors, Madhavan and Saif, because the memories associated with that film are very special, always will be. Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein. And then I will choose my most recent work, which was from last year, Kafir, Mohit Raina, and Dishita, the girl who plays my daughter. My God, this child has taught me more than I have ever learned from anybody else I've worked with.
how lovely.
Yeah, she's phenomenal. And Tapsi Pannu, Thappad, and all the other incredible artists on that film. Yeah.
Listen, you have to choose one favorite co-star, not so many. This is unfair, Dia.
It's very unfair to ask me to choose between like a favorite co-actor in a body of work that has lasted like 19 years. There are too many relationships there, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not
yeah. I'll give you that, especially with all the people who are
Sumanta.
watching this.
If I say, I'm not taking any names. Those two. These are the right ones. Like more recent work, first film, more recent. Say.
This is what a long stint.
This is the UN ambassador.
UN talking. Just said that. Is the United Nations that is talking. But tell me this, and somebody also wants to know, Melody इतनी chocolatey क्यों है?
मेलेडी खाओ खुद जान जाओ और लॉकडाउन में तो नहीं खा पाओगे तो लॉकडाउन ऑब्वियसली
Oh God.
चाहे वो और 10 दिन के लिए हो 15 दिन के लिए हो जितने भी दिन के लिए हो तब तक रुक जाओ.
Ishan has this question: How has your German lineage influenced you to be the individual that you are?
Interesting question, Ishan. I think
This boy is from Myanmar.
Where is he from? So what?
No, I said this boy is from the organization. I was just joking. I don't even know where this boy is from, but go on.
I don't know how it has consciously influenced me, but I do know that some of the deepest influences that we have in life are the ones that we gain from our parents. And my father played an indescribable part in my life in the first 8 years of my existence. And I lost him when I was 9. So I think that also kind of made my memories and my understanding of what he stood for, what he cared about, what he did, because he was a creative genius. He traveled from Germany to India by road in the 70s. Talked about climate change as early as my formative years because he was just somebody who cared about it. I remember him being vegetarian. Yes, German vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
Yes, building solar baskets, finding solutions to, stop the waste of energy or to consume less. Building and creating sustainable spaces because he ran an interior design company with my mother at that time. He used to paint. He was a photographer. He was a very creative man. So I think a lot of my interests and my hobbies and my choices in life have been deeply inspired by my father. And if you call that lineage, then that's what it is.
How nice, Adia. This has been lovely talking, and there are tons of questions that are coming. There was one which said love from Syria, and I was quite yes, and this is the remarkable power that people such as yourself have, the reach that you all have all across the planet. So I'm just very lucky because had I been the only one out here, I'm pretty sure we would have ended this chat as soon as we would have started it. But because we had a mixture of Monica, Phoebe, and Rachel, they heard this conversation through. It's been a pleasure, Dia. Thank you so much for spending time and taking out time to do this. It really means a lot to all of us, the ones who are watching especially, and also to the ones that this will reach to. So I'm very grateful and very glad.
I just want to tell you, Richa, your crazy sense of humor aside, that it's been fun talking to you because I think young people always bring out the best in me. And nothing empowers me more, nothing strengthens me more, nothing ignites my spirit more than to interact with young people. And I am so proud and so grateful for the community that you've built, and I hope you continue to grow and keep making borders and boundaries invisible. We are one world. We are
one world, and we are one people, one set of people. one set of people, and with the wonderful support of people such as yourself, it's only become much more easier. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for those very kind words. I don't think anybody's ended the interview like this. Usually they're like band karo, end karo. But the crazy sense of humor aside, it's been wonderful, Dia. Thank you so much. I hope we can see you sometime in the near future. Up until then, thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Be safe. Stay home. Lots of love to all of you. Be happy.